remember a few, but vaguely. The one popular one that comes to mind was that shit on the west side, I believe, that supposedly had the ghost of children pull your car up the hill if you put it into neutral. The story revolved around some kids who died in a bus accident at the train tracks decades ago. I think every town has this spot. To a more personal extent, when I was a kid, you could see my elementary school from my backyard, and the kids at the school had this stupid rumor about the devil tree, a tree that the local Satanists would gather around and do rituals on certain days throughout the year, allegedly. The tree really did have creepy carvings on it, and was noticeably unhealthier than all the others. They lined the back fence of this big field, so I bought into it. That tree was the tree I could see if I simply looked out of my kitchen window, and it caused many sleepless nights as a kid. Just thinking about there being a satanic ritual going on at 3 a.m. on a random Thursday night is pretty disturbing. When I was a kid in the mid-late 1980s, there was an urban legend about a satanic church in the lower valley. An altar surrounded by a bunch of columns. The kids would dare each other to go out there. I got brave enough to go out there once myself and was shocked and terrified to see that it actually existed. It wasn't until many years later that I discovered what this place was that had been frightening several generations of Paso kids. It was the old, decaying set for the notoriously bad B-movie, Manos, The Hands of Fate. It had just been sitting there since the middle of the 1960s. There's a house on the west side. I want to say up near Belvedere, but I'm not sure. There was rumor to be haunted. I heard about it in high school. I remember it was not occupied, and it was higher than the road, so where the road curved, you drove by the rock wall. Then, at the top of the rock wall, was the yard surrounded by a blue fence. Rumor has it that you could hear screaming coming from the house from someone who got murdered there. There's two that I know of. First one is simple but inconclusive. There's a ghost of a man walking his donkey somewhere on Trans Mountain. The second includes a murder, suicide of a family. Their house was directly behind a running track for the nearby middle school, at the far end of which was a chain link fence entrance, which was next to the house of the aforementioned murder-suicide. Directly behind that house, on the other side of the wall, on the other side of the running track, was a grate, really creepy looking. Legend goes that the bodies were dumped there and therefore it is now haunted. El Paso High's scary claim to fame is a number of ghosts. Don't visit the 4th floor, because that is where the most famous ghost is said to roam. The legend says the cheerleader took her own life and jumped off the balcony at the end of the haunted hallway. If you are alone in the auditorium, you will hear ghosts flipping the seats in the football fields where you can see the ghost of a player who lost his life on the field. I heard there is a waterfall somewhere in the Franklin Mountains. I first heard it from a park ranger. He says there has always been people saying there is a waterfall in a cave in the mountains. Others say it's way up high. The ranger says it is very possible for one to exist in a cave because there must be a water source that we don't know of that can keep all the deer running around there alive. He says deer need a lot of water and can't get that water just from plants. There has to be a water source that can keep them alive. There's also another legend that says there's a gold mine. I think UTEP did some research and found it. A gold mine did exist, but they do not know where it came from or where it is. My grandpa says there is gold in the mountains, but he says it is guarded by the ghost of Jumano Indians. He says the only way to get the gold is to have Indian blood in you. My grandpa is Terra Humara Indian, so I'll be looking into it.